Good morning. I hereby call to order this 22nd meeting of the Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission for the year 2025. Welcome everyone joining us here in the room today, as well as those joining us on the live stream. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. At today's meeting, which is open to the public, the Commission will act on various matters. Since adequate forums have been made available for public participation in cases before the Commission, there is no opportunity for the public to address the Commission at this public meeting. Public meeting motions, statements, and video will be available on the Commission's website later today. We do have a quorum of commissioners present today as Commissioner Coleman is joining us remotely. Good morning, Commissioner Coleman. Are you with us?
Good morning, Chairman. Thank you. I'm with you.
Thank you. The first matter on this morning's agenda is the approval of the minutes of the meeting of October 23rd, 2025. I would like to recognize Commissioner Coleman as the editor of the minutes. Commissioner Coleman.
Thank you, Chairman. I have reviewed the minutes of the October 23rd, 2025 public meeting, and I move they be approved as submitted.
You've heard the motion by Commissioner Coleman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Barrow. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The minutes are approved by a vote of 5-0. Let's begin on page 1 of today's agenda and matters presented by Director Yother and the Bureau of Audits. I move that the Commission adopt the audit report on UGI Utilities Incorporated Electric Division's generation supply rate and release the report to the public. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Zarfis. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Matters approved by a vote of 5-0. Turning to page 2 of today's agenda and matters presented by Director Hafner and the Office of Special Assistance. I move that the Commission adopt the proposed opinion and order in the formal complaint of Brian Hoft versus Metropolitan Edison Company. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Vice Chair Barrow. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The matter is approved by a vote of 5-0. Continuing on page 2 of today's agenda, I move that the Commission adopt the proposed opinion and order in the petition of PPL Electric Utilities Corporation. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Zarfis. Any discussion? I do have a joint motion in this matter with Commissioner Yonora. I'd ask Vice Chair Barrow to chair the meeting.
Chairman DeFrank, you're recognized for purposes of your joint motion with Commissioner Yonora.
Thank you. We ask that our motion be entered into the record as though I read it in its entirety. It is a long motion, so please bear with me. Before the Commission are exceptions of PPL Electric Utilities Corporation and Joint Solar Parties, or GSPs, to the recommended decision of Administrative Law Judge John M. Coogan issued on June 30th, 2025. This matter involves PPL's petition for approval of a second distributed energy resource management plan. PPL is requesting approval to implement its second DER management plan following the conclusion of its first DER management plan and pilot program, previously approved by the Commission on December 17, 2020. Though through its second DER management plan, PPL is proposing to continue installing DER management devices and actively managing DERs, as well as to expand on the DER pilot program by authorizing the company to, 1, actively monitor and manage the smart inverter settings on all DERs, 2, utilize the volt-watt functionality with customer consent, and 3, make PPL's current pilot program structure permanent. As such, provisions in the pilot limiting the scope of the program's requirements, such as the annual cap of 3,000 DER management devices, would be eliminated. ALJ Coogan recommends that the Commission deny PPL's petition because the company's failure to meet its burden of proof in this proceeding. In its exceptions to the RD, PPL argues that its second DER management plan DER management plan is reasonable and necessary, especially given the resource adequacy challenges before the Commonwealth, does not result in credible harm to the GSPs, and is supported by the company's cost-benefit analyses. In its exception number 1, PPL contends that the RD errs in finding that PPL has not demonstrated why the scope of its proposed active monitoring and control of DER devices is reasonable or necessary. PPL states that its proposal is a first-in-the-nation design, establishes the company in the vanguard of distribution advancement by improving reliability and helping to address the significant resource acquisition challenges faced by the Commonwealth. PPL further contends that the continued unmonitored and unmanaged deployment of DERs presents challenges to the safe and reliable operation of the electric distribution systems and to the electric grid at large. These challenges include manifesting voltage changes outside regulatory limits, increasing wear and tear on voltage management devices, overloading circuits leading to failure or accelerated deterioration, disruptions to conservation voltage reductions, and other benefits shown on the record and detailed in our full motion. Notably, the company submits that approval of the petition will help address resource adequacy by increasing the hosting capacity on distribution circuits, thereby permitting more customers to connect DERs and larger DERs to be connected without requiring system upgrades. We believe that the record herein supports granting PPL's exception number 1. As distributed energy investments in the Commonwealth continue to grow, it is reasonable to design programs and protocols to better coordinate utility hosting of these resources in an effective manner. The DER pilot has already mitigated over 604,000 voltage violations through active management. There is no doubt that continuation and expansion of PPL's pilot, as proposed, will continue to provide benefits of better managed voltage. Further, we believe that all tools to help manage resource adequacy must be duly considered. The increased capacity to host DERs will help de-stress the transmission system. PPL's projections, based on its experience from the DER pilot, exhibit that this proposal would increase incremental hosting capacity by 258 megawatts over a 5-year period. As well, enhanced voltage management will result in more efficient use of electricity, thereby decreasing the overall watts needed, again, offering a helpful hand in meeting the electric resource needs of the future. In its exception number 2, PPL contends that the ALJ improperly found that PPL's requirements for interconnecting DERs have resulted in credible harms to the GSPs. In response to the GSP's claims concerning adverse effects of the second DER management plan, PPL provided evidence to reboot each of the GSP's claims regarding lost sales and interconnection delays. Specifically, PPL provided record evidence which, in the aggregate, sufficiently rebuts and outweighs the GSP's claims regarding harm. Our motion lists the various assertions made by the GSPs and includes references to the record where PPL appropriately responds. Based on this evidence, we find that PPL has satisfactorily rebutted the GSP's claims of credible harms regarding lost sales and/or interconnection delays. In addition, the GSPs assert that PPL's second DER management plan has blocked or limited market entry for third-party aggregation and blocked or impeded competition from third-party grid service providers. PPL stated that it is willing to conduct an RFP to receive bids from third-party aggregators and original equipment manufacturers. To ensure that PPL's second DER management plan does not result in blocked or limited market entry for third-party aggregation of DERs, we will direct PPL to conduct an RFP from third-party aggregators. As such, we do not find any potential harm attributable to the GSP's blocked or limited market entry claims. Accordingly, we believe that PPL's exception number 2 should be granted with the RFP modification explained here. In its exception number 3, PPL objects to the ALJ's conclusion that the company's cost-benefit analyses do not support its proposed second DER management plan. We agree with PPL that the company has thoroughly demonstrated that its proposed plan will produce significant benefits. To conduct its cost-benefit analyses of its proposed plan, PPL retained a third party, Concentric Energy Advisors Incorporated. Concentric determined that between 2025 and 2030, PPL's second DER management plan will result in significantly higher benefits than projected cost. More specifically, Concentric projected that the total cost related to active management in that period will total $26.5 million, with active management producing more than $48 million in benefits, including approximately $7.9 million in reduced O&M expense, $13.4 million in avoided distribution infrastructure investments, $18.7 million in energy reduction, and $7.8 million in conservation voltage reduction. Accounting for the monitoring capabilities created by the installation of DER management devices results in net benefits that are even greater, growing to approximately $65.5 million on a net present value basis. Importantly, PPL provided that the accounting for these reduced capital costs and expenses from the company's second DER management plan, the estimated overall revenue requirement impact would be reduced by approximately $4.5 million. Based on this cost-benefit analysis, we believe the PPL has met its burden of proof to demonstrate that the benefits of its second DER management plan significantly outweigh the cost to the direct benefit of its ratepayers. Therefore, PPL's exception number 3 should be granted. In its exception number 4, PPL asserts that the ALJ failed to consider proposed modifications to the second DER management plan to address various concerns raised. Originally, in its direct testimony, the Office of Consumer Advocate made recommendations for PPL to file a DER orchestration plan and provide an evaluation of 3 different flexible interconnection approaches within 12 months of the Commission's order in this proceeding. In its testimony, PPL stated that the company is willing to file such a DER orchestration plan. We agree with PPL and the OCA's original recommendation that the company should be required to file a DER orchestration plan. Accordingly, we believe it is appropriate to grant PPL's exception number 4, in part, to the extent that the Commission direct PPL to adopt the DER orchestration plan modification as set forth herein. Therefore, we move that 1, the exceptions filed by PPL Electric Utilities Corporation on July 15, 2025 to the recommended decision of Administrative Law Judge John M. Coogan issued on June 30, 2025, in this above captioned proceeding are granted in part as modified consistent with this motion. 2, that the exceptions filed by American Home Contractors Incorporated, Enphase Energy Incorporated, Solar Energy Industries Association, Solar Edge Technologies Incorporated, Sun Directed, Tesla Incorporated, and Trinity Solar LLC on July 15, 2025 to the recommended decision of Administrative Law Judge John M. Coogan issued on June 30, 2025, in the above captioned proceeding are denied, consistent with this motion. 3, that the recommended decision of Administrative Law Judge John M. Coogan issued on June 30, 2025, in the above captioned proceeding is reversed, consistent with this motion. 4, the PPL Electric Utilities Corporation petition for approval of its second Distributed Energy Resource Management Plan is granted, as modified and consistent with this motion. And 5, that the Office of Special Assistance prepare an opinion and order consistent with this motion. Thank you, Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chairman. You've heard the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Zerfas. Any discussion on the motion? I do have a statement that I ask be entered into the record as though read in its entirety. So first I want to thank PPL for its innovation in this area. That being said, I don't believe that the record as presented to us supports approval of this plan. With respect to the record evidence for and against the plan, I found it especially persuasive, the joint solar parties' testimony, and their witness provided numerous examples of other methods that could be used to accomplish PPL's goals without mandating the installation of PPL-owned devices on every single DER in its service territory, namely the use of autonomous functions, of which many inverters are already capable. It doesn't seem to me that PPL sufficiently demonstrated that active management was needed in every case over and above the autonomous functions. PPL did demonstrate that it might be needed in some cases, but that's not what was presented to us. And as OSBA's witness said, and I'll quote him, it seems to me that PPL has been so narrowly focused on providing the merits of active management that they've missed an opportunity to examine the cost and the benefits of autonomous smart inverters and other solutions that don't require the installation of DER management devices. I'm not saying that the company needed to explore every single possibility, but this is a pilot. I mean, it has been a pilot, and I just don't think it's ready for prime time. I think they could have sharpened their pencils and come back with a different plan. So in PPL's fourth exception, the company suggested approving with modification instead of denying outright, and you've heard that from the chairman. I do believe that modification of utility filings, that's acceptable. But I also believe that the record has to support the commission's replacement of the original filing. And given the complexity of the issue, the degree of deviation from the original proposal, I am not supportive of a modification. Distributed energy resource management is, it's the future. It's where we need to go. However, right now, affordability has to be balanced with that innovation. That is my statement. Any further discussion?
Vice Chair Barrow?
Chairman.
Yeah, I just had to take a breather there, so I wasn't ready after the motion. But just want to thank Commissioner Yenora and his staff. As you can see, this was a very huge case, a very big case, and I just appreciate their help on this motion. Thank you.
Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 I am opposed. So on final adoption, is there any objection to using the previous roll call? Hearing none, the recommendation is adopted as amended by the joint motion by a vote of 4-1. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Vice Chair Barrow. Turning to page 3 of today's agenda, I move that the Commission adopt in an omnibus motion both items on page 3, beginning with a proposed opinion and order in the application of Black Horse Empire LLC, and ending the omnibus with a proposed opinion and order of the application of BSF Home Care Services LLC. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Vice Chair Barrow. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The matters are approved by a vote of 5-0. Turning to page 4 of today's agenda, matters presented by Director Diskin and the Bureau of Technical Utility Services. I move that the Commission adopt in an omnibus motion both items on page 4, beginning with the proposed order in the application of ANPI Business LLC, and continue the omnibus to include both items on page 5, and the single item on page 6, ending the omnibus with the proposed order in the petition of Pico Energy Company Electric. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Zerfas. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and matters are approved by a vote of 5-0. Turning to page 7 of today's agenda, and matters presented by Chief Counsel Screven and the Law Bureau. I move that the Commission adopt the proposed order in the petition of the Borough of Sandy Lake. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Vice Chair Barrow. Any discussion? I do have another motion, joint motion with Commissioner Yenora. We were pretty busy this week. I ask Vice Chair to chair.
Chairman DeFrank, you are recognized for purposes of your joint motion with Commissioner Yenora.
Thank you. We asked for a motion be entered into the record as though I read it in its entirety. Before the Commission is the 2024 petition of the Borough of Sandy Lake in Mercer County requesting the Commission issue a declaratory order regarding extraterritorial water service to the Sandy Lake Wesleyan Church. Specifically, the borough requests that the service be deemed non-jurisdictional because it is not service to or for the public. With the petition, the borough also filed documents from 2012 regarding a possible addition connection to the Coca development property in Stoneboro Plaza. Based on the petition, we believe that the provision of extraterritorial water service by the borough to the church and to Stoneboro Plaza is not jurisdictional because it is not public utility service to or for the public under Section 102 of the Public Utility Code. As such, we will grant the borough's petition and issue a corresponding final declaratory order. Moreover, we do not find that the additional customer connections of the church and Stoneboro Plaza to require an amendment to the Commission's 2011 order concerning the provision of water service to customers outside of the borough's municipal boundaries. Additionally, we note the borough has already agreed to certain requirements in the resolution of 2011, which the borough is not permitted to amend or repeal without advance notice to or approval from the Commission. Therefore, we move that 1, the Sandy Lake Borough's petition for declaratory order is hereby granted, consistent with this joint motion, and 2, the Law Bureau shall draft an order consistent with this joint motion. Thank you, Vice Chair.
Thank you. You have heard the motion. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Surface. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 I hear no opposition. So on final adoption, is there any objection to using the previous roll call? Hearing none, the recommendation is adopted as amended by the joint motion by a vote of 5-0. Thanks, Chairman.
Thank you, Vice Chair Barrow. Turning to page 8 of today's agenda, matters presented by Chief ALJ Rainey and the Office of Administrative Law Judge. I move that the Commission adopt the initial decision of ALJ Arnold in the formal complaint of Julia Bonenberger versus PECO Energy Company, Electric. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Vice Chair Barrow. Any discussion?
Chairman, I have a statement.
Vice Chair Barrow.
Thank you. Please enter my statement into the record as though read in its entirety. So the facts in this case caused me some alarm. This complaint stemmed from when PECO implemented a new billing system back in February of last year. They cut over to their new system and some mistakes were made. PECO failed to issue monthly bills to this particular complainant, Ms. Bonberger, over an 11-month period. When PECO finally did issue a bill in January of 25, it also issued 11 bills over a 2-month period. The company didn't complete any customer outreach during the 11-month period of no bills and did not contact Ms. Bonberger prior to nor during the issuance of the makeup bills. Instead, it was Ms. Bonberger who had to contact the company for an explanation. So I do agree with the decision and the $1,000 civil penalty issued in this case, but I wanted to voice my disappointment at the lack of customer service and outreach and ask the company to please do better. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Barrow. Any further comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those
Aye.
opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the matter is approved by a vote of 5-0. That concludes the regular agenda for today. Turning now to the carry-in. Page 1 of the carry-in agenda. I ask Vice Chair Barrow to preside so I may offer my Commissioner's motion. Vice Chair Barrow.
Chairman DeFrank, you are recognized for purposes of your C motion.
Thank you, Vice Chair Barrow. In 2004, the General Assembly added Chapter 14 to the Public Utility Code, seeking, among other things, to eliminate opportunities for customers capable of paying utility bills to avoid paying those utility bills on time. This was the first significant change to rules regarding utilities' residential service standards with respect to billing and related issues in more than 25 years. In Chapter 14, the General Assembly determined that the prior rules had not successfully managed the issue of bill payment and that increasing amounts of unpaid bills threatened paying customers with higher rates due to other customers' delinquencies. Chapter 14 was reenacted in 2014 for an additional 10-year period. By its own terms, Chapter 14 subsequently sunset on December 31st, 2024. In anticipation of Chapter 14 sunsetting, the Commission entered a statement of policy on December 24th, 2024, to provide certainty to utilities, consumers, and all affected stakeholders regarding, among other things, payment arrangements and utility terminations until further guidance was provided by the General Assembly. It is the Commission's obligation at all times to ensure the provision of safe and reliable utility service at just and reasonable rates. As such, it is now appropriate that the Commission take the next steps following the sunsetting of Chapter 14. Therefore, I propose that the Law Bureau, in conjunction with the Commission's Bureau of Consumer Services and other relevant Commission staff, be directed to submit a notice of proposed rulemaking incorporating into the Commission's regulations the provisions of Chapter 14, as was in effect prior to its sunset, including those currently being followed by the Commission via our statement of policy. This includes, among other things, the four-tiered process establishing the length of payment arrangements previously articulated in Section 1405. Moving forward with this rulemaking at this time will instill a consistent regulatory framework for utilities, utility customers, and all other interested parties. Doing so will help ensure clarity for utility operations and allow customer households to budget for essential utility services accordingly. As noted in the statement of policy, the Commission will continue to ensure that public utility service is provided on a reasonably continuous basis without unreasonable interruptions or delay that every public utility tariff governing the conditions of service is reasonable to maintain adequate, efficient, safe, and reasonable service. Doing so mitigates unnecessary expenses and administrative burdens for the utilities and the Commission and is in the public interest. Therefore, I move that 1, the Law Bureau submit for the Commission's consideration at the January 15th, 2026 public meeting a notice of proposed rulemaking incorporating the Commission's regulations, provisions of Chapter 14 currently being followed by the Commission via the statement of policy entered on December 24th, 2024 at docket number M2024-305-2328, consistent with this motion. Thank you, Vice Chair Barrow.
Thank you, Chairman. You've heard the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Zerfas. Is there any discussion on the motion? I do have a statement that I ask be entered into the record as though read in its entirety. Since Chapter 14 sunset on December 31st of 2024, I do agree that the time is right to determine the next steps on utility and customer protections. I believe that the status quo is only a starting point for this proceeding and not the ultimate goal. I am happy to support this motion, but I would ask that stakeholders and all interested parties comment on the following topics as this proceeding moves along. First, the payment arrangement lengths and terms. Next, extending payment arrangements to small businesses. And by small, I mean like the mom and pop size small businesses. Term lengths for restarting the clock for defaulted and fulfilled payment arrangements. Also, removing the PGW specific provisions currently that were in the law. So I do look forward to seeing the notice of proposed rulemaking. I look forward even more to seeing the various comments offered on how to best implement regulations in a reasonable manner that protects the public interest. Any further discussion? Commissioner Zerfas?
Thank you for the for the promotion. But just some quick comments. I just want to thank the chairman for the motion today and getting the process started here. It's a very important conversation, and I appreciate Vice Chair your kickstarting the conversation at the beginning of this process. So just look forward to seeing how it all plays out, and looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Zerfus. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 No opposition. The motion is adopted by a vote of 5-0. Chairman.
Thank you, Vice Chair Barrow. That concludes all agenda items to be considered today. Before we close today's meeting, in this season of gratitude, I encourage each one of us to stop and take a moment to appreciate the good in our lives, family, friends, and even our coworkers who have become part of that close circle. As I reflect on the good things in my life, I want to personally express how thankful I am to my family and to all of you, the PUC community. As we reflect on what we are grateful for, we're also mindful that right now, we know that many Pennsylvanians may be headed into the holiday season facing real challenges, especially families worried about paying utility bills or staying warm this winter. For some of these families, it could be the first time they are finding themselves unable to make ends meet. And these situations may be affecting people closer to home than you may think. So, while you're at the Thanksgiving dinner table next week with relatives, chatting with a neighbor while putting up Christmas lights, or passing someone outside of your workplace, if you know or see someone who is struggling, the most important thing to do is speak up and reach out. Encourage them to contact their utilities or local human service agencies to explore the full range of affordability options and assistance programs. Let's help them stay connected and keep warm. Thanksgiving reminds us how interconnected we all are and how much it matters that we look out for one another. Together, we can help create a place where more Pennsylvanians have something to be thankful for. On behalf of my fellow commissioners, I wish you all a safe, warm, and happy Thanksgiving, filled with reasons to be grateful. And speaking of turkeys, before we adjourn today is my staff council's last meeting with the PUC. Joel Cheskis has been with the commission for the last 14 years. He is with my office for the last 3, and before that, 11 years with ALJ, working his way up to Deputy Chief ALJ of the Harrisburg office. Before that, Joel worked 13 years in the Office of Consumer Advocate, and that's where Joel's returning to continue his work there at the OCA. Joel, I want to thank you for your service, not only to myself and my office, but the commission as a whole. Thank you, and good luck. If there is no other business to come before us, are there any objections to adjourning today's meeting? Hearing none, we are adjourned.